How's it going? Today, I'm talking about 6 signs you're on your way out of Corral G as a slow runDisney runner. This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for slow, back-of-the-pack runDisney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong, have a bigger buffer ahead of the balloon ladies, and have time to stop for character photos. Keep listening if your goal is to PR in fun, cross the finish line without feeling broken, and have energy to enjoy the Disney parks. Corral G is typically the last corral in runDisney races. Now, of course, if there are more people, more waves, that corral will get further and further away. HIJK, typically for most races in the past couple of years, it has been Corral G. But it will be interesting with now 5K bibs having more bibs available. Maybe Corral G will become HIJK. I'm not sure. But because it typically is G, I talk about slow runners uniting in Corral G. Because as slow runners, that's where we typically are for these runDisney races. But I know many runners don't want to be in Corral G anymore. And working toward getting a proof of time is a way to get out of Corral G, getting faster in general so that when you choose your finishing time, whether it's with a proof of time or not, you choose an earlier finish time. So you're choosing the 2.5 hours to 2:45 for a half marathon, or you're choosing the 5 hour to whatever time frame that first grouping is for a marathon. Now, you don't need to choose those options for a 5K or a 10K. If you are doing a 2-course challenge or a multi-course challenge, you may get placed differently in your 10K. But other than that, it's not an option. And so when I'm talking about getting out of Corral G, it could be for any of those races. Historically, the 5K hasn't needed a specific pace to maintain. Like, as long as you're moving forward progress meant you could stay on. But with the changes with how the 5Ks are set up, starting with Wine and Dine 2026, that may not be the case. You may need to hold on to that 16-minute per mile. Maybe we will have balloon ladies there. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go. We'll have to wait for Wine and Dine weekend to really find out. But for right now, that isn't the case. As long as you have forward progress, you can stay on the course with the 5K. We will see how that changes over the next couple of months as Wine and Dine 5K happens, Marathon Weekend 5K happens, Princess, and then Springtime Surprise 5K, because there are more bibs and they are doing their starting times differently, starting in different kinds of wave systems. So we will find that out. But so many runners get frustrated, and I hear their frustration directly. They will tell me about it, or I see it in different social media platforms, in Facebook groups, on Instagram, stories, threads, things like that. And I see the frustration with being at the back of the pack. Now, of course, somebody is going to be there. And I don't want you to take this as you can't have a good race from Corral G. You 1,000% can. Absolutely, you can. But I do know there is a real fear of getting swept. And so the fear tends to be placed on fear of the balloon ladies because they are the visual representation of the 16-minute per mile pace, but they're not the ones that sweep you. The cast members, the cyclists behind them are the ones who actually do the sweeping, but the balloon ladies are that visual representation. And so that's where the fear goes to. You're fearing that the balloon ladies are catching up, and people will say it on the course. The cyclists will come up and say, balloon ladies, 2 minutes behind, or something like that. However far behind they are, they will say things like that. So I have had comments on Instagram posts, on Facebook posts in the past saying things like, I see what you're getting at by saying like somebody wants to be out of Corral G, but it's misguided and people can have a good time in Corral G. I know that. I know that. I have been at the back. I don't have a proof of time. Sometimes it's just a toss-up where I get placed, and I have been in that last corral, and I can maintain a faster pace than 16-minute per mile. And so I do have a good time, and I have gotten character stops. So I do know that you can have a good time in the last corral. However, when I'm making a post for Instagram or Facebook, if that person doesn't see themselves or the hook doesn't catch their eye, it won't resonate and they will scroll right on by. And so sometimes I do put those types of titles in there to catch the eye. I try not to do it all the time. Like I try really hard to not be clickbaity. I try and just put what the main topic of something is, but sometimes to get somebody to stop the scroll, that's what happens. And so this particular post that I'm thinking about had to do with Corral G, getting out of Corral G and wanting to be out of Corral G. And that's an actual desire my runners have told me. I want to be out of Corral G. So yes, somebody can have a good time in Corral G, and also somebody else wants to be out of Corral G. Both things can exist. And so for the person who wants to be out of Corral G, who's not having a good time in Corral G, I want them to see this post because I may have tips and tricks for them to get out of there. So I preface this episode with, you absolutely can have a good time in Corral G. And I know that a desire to be out of Corral G, whether it's a personal desire of, I just want to be able to say, I'm starting in Corral C. I don't want to be shamed or ashamed that I'm all the way in the back. I will feel more confident and stronger being able to say, I'm in Corral C or D. Right? Or I have Corral B. I don't know if I can get anybody a Corral A placement. I haven't done that yet. The future may hold different results, right? But I have gotten runners to Corral B. I have gotten runners to Corral C and Corral D. I myself am typically in Corral D. But then there are some races where I swear, runDisney just throws all of the bibs up in the air. And wherever they land is where they land. I picture, if you've ever watched The Big Bang Theory, there's an episode where Penny and Leonard have broken up, and Penny hasn't told her dad that they broke up, and her dad came to visit. And so Penny's pretending to be still dating Leonard at this point. And so she gives him a big kiss in front of her dad and leaves Leonard really stunned. And then Sheldon overhears or witnesses something. And so Sheldon loves making these roommate agreements and these different contracts. And so throughout the episode, he has gone back and forth, making the roommate agreement, including Penny, making the roommate agreement, not including Penny, and going back and forth and making all of these changes. And so then finally, Leonard and Penny say, it was just a ruse. Like, we're just doing it to fake out the dad. And so Sheldon's standing there with the new paper copy of the roommate agreement, and he just throws them all up in the air. And that's what I think of every time I see somebody's corral placement for runDisney. I'm like, yep, runDisney just threw all of the bibs in the air, and wherever they landed is where they landed. Because I swear sometimes that's what happens. But for somebody who really has that desire to not feel rushed throughout their race, to not feel like, to be able to confidently say, yep, this is my corral, as opposed to, yeah, I'm in Corral G again. There are things that you can do, whether you actually get out of Corral G, right? Or you at least get fast enough to propel yourself out of Corral G, if that makes sense, right? Like, if it has passed the proof of time frame for your race, which it is since passed for Wine and Dine, and I do believe Marathon Weekend, that has passed as well to get your proof of time in, but you still have 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, depending on when you're listening to this, you probably still have time to get faster. So even if you start in Corral G, you can whiz right on by. So you don't have that rushed feeling. You have time for character stops, which on average, most character stops are 5 minutes. from polls that I've taken of runDisney runners who regularly get character stops from all different corral placements. So I want to go over today 6 signs that you are on your way out of Corral G as a slow runDisney runner. And I want you to listen to these. I'm not going to dive too deep into them today, maybe a little bit of instance in them. But over these next couple of weeks, I'm going to be sharing information about these different ways to know that you are on your way out of Corral G. You are getting faster so that you can continue to make progress, continue to get faster, and get that Corral F, E, D, C, B, or A corral placement, or at least get fast enough so even when you do start in Corral G, you have a leg up and you can keep on going. Okay, so stay tuned as we're going through this. I will be hosting a workshop at the end of August. So if you don't say yes to these 6 signs and you're saying no to one or more, that's okay. And you can figure out which ones you need help with to propel yourself forward. So if you're looking for more information about that at the time of recording this, check the link in the description about getting out of Corral G workshop for more information about that. So let's get into the 6 signs. So 6 signs you're on your way out of Corral G as a slow runDisney runner. First sign, you're running 2 speed workouts and 1 or 2 easy runs every single week. You have your training schedule set. It's not a toss-up of what you're doing every single week. You have it structured. You are working on your speed, very specific speed workouts that work for you so that you can hit your upper limits and exceed those upper limits, right? Because you can't get faster unless you are exceeding those upper limits, because otherwise you're just doing same old same and you're keeping things status quo. And right now, status quo, if you're listening to this, status quo is Corral G, or a slower pace than you would like to be. We need to level up. We need to exceed our upper limits of the paces and keep getting faster and faster and faster. And you're pairing those speed workouts with 1 or 2 easy runs every week, depending on what race you are doing. If you're doing Dopey, you are going to have to do 2 long runs every couple of weeks or every week, depending on how experienced you are with back-to-back race running. Okay. And so you have that solid schedule set every single week so that you know you are getting faster because you're working on it. You're being very strategic and working on it. Sign 2 that you're on your way out of Corral G is you're regularly hitting or exceeding your top 3 fastest paces on those speed workouts. So sign 1 was you're doing the speed workouts. Sign 2 is hitting and exceeding those top 3 fastest paces. You need to stay out of the gray zone. If you've never heard me talk about the gray zone is that muddled area, that in-between time, that in-between zone where it's not slow enough to recover, but it's not fast enough to get faster. We don't want to be in the gray zone. We want to be pink or green. And on speed workouts, that's green. Green is go, green is fast. Those are your fast paces, your upper limits. Sign number 3 that you're on your way out of Corral G is you can tell me right now what those fastest paces are for your run intervals. You can tell me 1, 2, and 3. These are my top fastest paces, or at least 2 of them. But if you can tell me 2, you can probably tell me 3. And if you've ever done a pace test before, that's somewhere between your moderate and your hard pace. Those 3 are going to fall in there. The top fastest is going to be your hard pace. That third top fast is going to be your moderate pace, and then something in between. You should be able to tell me right off the bat. You should be able to Just roll that right off your tongue, or you have it written down and you can look at it and you can tell me right now, X mile per hour is my fastest pace. And then it's this and this, or this many minutes and seconds per mile pace. Those are my fastest, and then my next and my next. You should have that information. The fourth sign is what your easy pace is. Going off of, you can tell me right now your fastest paces. You should be able to go on the other end of the spectrum, and you should be able to tell me exactly what your easy pace is. You should be able to either look at it because you have it written down, or have it at top of mind, that you know exactly what that easy pace is in either mile per hour or minute per mile. You should be able to tell me that pace. The fifth sign you're on your way out of Corral G is you stay at or slower than that easy pace that you just told me every long run, every week. You stay at that because remember, pink and green miles. The pink miles are that slow, easy pace run. The slower, the better when it comes to the long run, because you are building time on your feet. Every run has a purpose. You are building time on your feet, not worrying about, am I getting faster during this run? Because that's not the goal. That's not the purpose of the long run. The long run is to build stamina. It's to build endurance. It's to build time on your feet. Be able to put one foot in front of the other for the full length of time eventually that race is going to take you. And you have committed to it every single week, and you do that every single week, long run after long run. And then finally, in this same vein, your sign 6 that you're on your way out of Corral G is exactly how long your long run will take you before you even start. There is no guessing of, is today's long run going to be an hour or is it going to be 3 hours? I don't know, because I don't know how I'm going to feel during it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to maintain this pace. There should be no question, because you can tell me what your easy pace is. You're sticking to that easy pace, right? That's sign 4 and 5. Sign 6 is then you know exactly how long your long run is going to take you every single week. And you should. It's math at that point. It is numbers based on what your run interval in seconds is, based on your walk interval in seconds, based on your pace for your run interval, and based on your pace for your walk interval. You should be able to give a solid guesstimate within a couple of minutes of how long that long run is going to take you. And that's the 6th sign that you're on your way out of Corral G. When you hit all 6 of these, now it's just a process of follow this every single day, every single week. You have the structure, you have the paces, and now you do it over and over. Rinse and repeat. Not trying to stress out your body, just following a systemized routine so that after so many weeks or months of doing it over and over and over again, it's no big deal. You've hit the time, you've hit the paces, you can trust the paces because you see it day after day, week after week, right? Like, one thing that doctors used to always say, and they still say, they said it to my mom and it drives me crazy, but they say things take time. No, things don't take time. Things take structured, systematized processes over time. You have to put in the right work at the right time for a length of time. And when you hit all 6 of these, it really is just a matter of time. And if you are saying yes to all of these signs, keep doing what you're doing. You are well on your way out of Corral G. And if you have said, nope, I'm not doing that right now, to any one of those signs, that's okay. Now you know where to start. If you're saying yes to some of the signs, I got that on lock, great. You don't need to change anything about those. But if you're saying, ooh, not quite on that one, that's where you know you need to start. And that is the best first step to figuring out how to get out of Corral G for yourself is dialing in where to start and use this episode to get you there, and continue listening over the next couple of weeks and consider joining the workshop where I'm going to dive into exactly how to get out of Corral G in that workshop. Please take what you've learned in this episode and use it to adjust your strategy for your Run Disney race training. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things in the right balance so you can finish strong, not broken. And if you want personalized guidance specific to your race, your injury history, your running background, and your goals, that's exactly what we do inside Stronger, Faster, Finisher. You'll get step-by-step instructions and a proven system to help you train smarter from start to finish. Join the waitlist today to be the first to know when it opens next. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.